You're watching ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
The long winter break is over. Those words signal the beginning of the 15-race 2002 Indy Racing League schedule. Castroneves has won the Indianapolis 500. ABC Sports welcomes you to Homestead Miami Speedway for the Grand Prix of Miami, the beginning of the 7th season of IRL racing. Hi everyone, I'm Bob Jenkins and I'll be your host for all IRL-related telecasts this year on ABC and ESPN. Between now and the middle of September, more than 4,000 miles will be raced, some of it in excess of 200 miles an hour as the IRL decides its champion. The schedule is larger this year than ever before, and there are some new faces and teams in the league this year. We here at ABC Sports sincerely believe we have put together the best broadcast auto racing team ever. We have some new faces and some familiar ones. The new face on pit road is going to be Gary Gerald. The familiar face is Jack Arute.
Bob, if you want to know the real story about today's front row, go back to the Indianapolis 500. The man starting on the outside today, Helio Castroneves, won that race, but the man who won the pole today and won the championship last year and the race here, Sam Hornish Jr. says the only reason that Castroneves won the race was because he spun early in the 500. Hornish says he gave the race to Castroneves. I'll tell you one thing, Gary Gerald, there's no gimmies with this front row today.
Jack, a great story in row 2, right behind that budding rivalry. It involves a 21-year-old rookie, his first oval competition. His name is Thomas Scheckter. His dad, Jody Scheckter, former world champion. And what did Thomas do? Well, he out-qualified his boss and new teammate, Eddie Cheever. And he did it after crashing in practice. Climbed into a backup car that hadn't turned a wheel this weekend, and he broke the track record. He ends up starting 3rd. Bob Jenkins, we may have a brand new star in the making right here in the IRL.
And we may have a new star in the broadcast booth also. The two gentlemen who will be with us all year long in the broadcast booth, one of them is a veteran of about 30 years in race broadcasting, and the other is a recently retired IRL driver. Let's go to Paul Page and Scott Goodyear.
Well, Bob, Scott and I both agree there's a certain magic to the first race of the season. It holds so much promise for so many teams. Personally, I'm watching Al Unser Jr. He's been working out all winter. He's fit, he's in shape, he's lost weight, and he's with the Kelly team. Keep an eye on him.
The competition level is higher than we've ever seen in the IRL. Myself, I'm watching the Infinity Engine program right now. They've got 4 guys in the top 10, more cars than they've ever had in the series, and I think their rookie, Thomas Scheckter, might be able to win it for them here today.
And as Jack Arute mentioned, Sam Hornish Jr. is definitely the man to watch. Defending champion, defending series champion, he sits on the pole here today. As we take a look at the starting grid alongside will be the Indy champion, Helio Castroneves. Back in the second row, there's the rookie, Thomas Scheckter, and his boss. In row 3, Jacques Lazier won at Chicago last year at Gilles de Fer. In row 4, 2 former winners in the series, Buell and Vogt. Row 5, Jeff Ward, new car, new team. Row 6, Scott Sharp, a 6-time winner in the IRL. The 7th row, there's Al Unser Jr. Back in row 8 is Buddy Lazier, the all-time IRL race winner with 8 victories. Row 9, the rookie of the year, Felipe Giafone, and rookie John DeVries. Row 10, Alex Barron, who's got his start right here at this track. In the 11th row, Ayrton Dare is filling in for the injured Donnie Pietzler. In row 12, 2 rookies, Noda and Mack. And in row 13, John Herb is replaced out of the field with a practice crash this morning. Now looking down the backstretch, look at those flags as we show you the weather. Wind is definitely an issue.
And Paul, we've talked about this here. The weather is an issue. Look at this flag here. Look how large it is. The wind's coming across here at 20 miles an hour, gusting up to 30. Probably has been an issue in the guys crashing here in the last couple of days. The wind is going to go directly across here, turns 3 and 4.
Well, the field lines up. There is the front row. Castroneves on the outside, Hornish Jr. on the inside. The 2 Cheever cars make up the second row with Scheckter on the inside. Cars are nearly identical. And there's the look back from the Chevy pace car as the pace car rolls off at turn 4. The field nicely aligned, coming toward that green flag. And the season is underway.
You're clear.
Castroneves immediately ducks in behind Hornish and then goes low. Well, at the same time, Cheever makes a move on his own new teammate.
What a great start for Hornish. He sits there on the pole, takes the green flag, and off he goes. He led more laps last year than anybody else in the series. Looks like he might be on his way to do that again this year.
With 10 guys have never started here in this field. Look at Jacques Lazier as he makes a move.
And Jacques is one of the young, hungry drivers. Just joined onto the Menard team last year. Here he is chasing up one of the Marlboro cars. But you got to listen to the spotter there. They got to tell you when somebody's on the inside. And there goes one of the Red Bull cars with Thomas Scheckter.
So Thomas Scheckter has to give way as Jacques Lazier comes up, but now he's going to stay right alongside him and then drops in behind him. That's DeFerrin just ahead. DeFerrin trying to make a move on Eddie Cheever Jr.
What all these guys are doing now, Paul, is they're trying to get a feel for what's going on with the race car. The temperature's a lot hotter than it has been here for the last couple of days. The wind is up, and these guys are just getting used to running around each other for the very first time since last October.
Jacques Lazier is the guy to watch. He has just carved his way up through the field and now is ready to chase from third place. Hornish is the leader. Castroneves in second place. They pulled away a bit. Look at him go 3-4 wide down the backstretch.
And you think about these guys, as I mentioned, they've been off since October, but they get out there 200 miles an hour, wheel to wheel.
Up car against the wall. And that is Cheever. Eddie Cheever. This is what you would not have expected.
Well, absolutely.
If you're going to have a wreck in that team, you would have expected the rookie.
Well, you'd hate to say it exactly. From what we saw the other day with Thomas Scheckter, had a lot of confidence. We didn't really think that it would be his team owner, Eddie Cheever, doing the damage today.
So the caution comes out here very early on. I was going to say that with 10 guys who have never started here, there was a concern that they might be the problem. Instead, it's the veteran Cheever. Here it is.
Well, man, you know, there's going to be some discussion in the trailer tonight.
Going to be a long talk in the trailer between Cheever and his new protege.
And what happened there is that Eddie got pushed out to the top, stopped right there. He's already going high. That's after the contact.
Paul, just a moment ago on the radio, Cheever said this is unbelievable. We see him climbing out now. His goal this year, have fun. This is no fun, I guarantee you.
So for the first time in the day in the season, the caution comes out, the yellow flag flies here at Miami as Eddie Cheever climbs out of the car. Back in Miami, Cheever's car is on the hook as they get it cleared, and there's some pretty serious right side damage to that machine. Cheever climbed out of the car, so it appears that he is in fact okay. So let's go back, Scott Goodyear, and take a look at what happened there.
Well, actually, before the two teammates hit, you watch what goes on here as we roll the tape. Gilles DeFerrin comes in underneath and gets a run going on Eddie, puts Eddie high, and here comes Thomas Scheckter. Stop it right there. Now look how close they are. Now as we follow through here, we'll roll it and watch Eddie's trying to come back down into the groove. Thomas Scheckter gets a little bit loose because of the dirty air, touches his teammate. No damage done yet, but there comes the wall at probably about 180 miles an hour. That's two cars those guys have put into the wall in the last 2 days.
Yeah, remembering that Thomas Scheckter, before qualifying in practice, got into the wall. Here is Thomas Scheckter, who has come into the pits and looks to me like at least 3 new tires. There's stickers on 3.
Well, absolutely needed that. I'm sure he probably flat spotted the tires. The thing he hopes he didn't do was knock some of the wheels out of alignment with that touch.
We were talking about Scheckter, the other Eddie Cheever Jr. car, and this was his incident yesterday.
Watch this, he just gets in the middle of the turn. We thought this was maybe because of the wind or cold tires, and he goes up and hits the wall, broadsides it, which is probably the best thing to do, not to do too much damage to the car or injury to the driver. See the back end just slide around. He's lost it, no control. You're a passenger at that point in time, and all you do is wait for the big hit.
And both of those for the Cheever team, very expensive hits. Bit of a sprawl. We got a car here. Jacques got the cover off of the front of his shocks, laying over by the side of the course.
Well,
and here's how apparently it happened.
Exactly what happens here. You can see that that cover was not put on correctly, probably when it left the pit lane.
So they're going to have to figure out what to do about that. I assume it just involves finding another one and bolting it on. Oh, Gary, being a rookie is tough.
Absolutely. Thomas Scheckter has made his third stop in the pits after the contact with his teammate. First time was to change tires. Second time they changed the front nose. There was some question as to whether or not he got lapped in that process. Then he's been in a third time and he stalled it.
Hornish leads them back to the green flag. Castroneves still in second. Jacques Lazier with that great run has come up to third, but remember, he's got a problem with the shock cover on his car. It's not there.
Well, it's far enough up on the car that it's really not going to affect him aerodynamically all too much, I wouldn't suspect. We'll wait to see here. If he starts to tail off from where the guys are in front of him, then we know it might be a problem for him.
Back in 10th place, riding with Scott Sharp.
Now, Scott, I spoke to him the other day. He thought he had a great race car underneath him, and the temperature and the wind came up yesterday. Didn't have it together for qualifying. Expected a good race car underneath him. We'll see if they can move up the field.
Field comes through now. Just ahead of Sharp. You saw him there, and now he's actually pulled another position forward. Was Rick Treadway, who is a rookie to the season. Pilot, very confident, very likable. Nice, easy-going smile.
A great guy, and this car will be taken over in the month of May by IRL Lyndike, who will be taking over that car and running it in the Indy 500 for Treadway Racing.
Jacques Lazier and Jill DeFerrin just behind him. Lazier getting around DeFerrin. Buell now making his moves as well.
And Buell Ball is another one of those infinity power plants that we spoke about on the top of the show. Great power plant. Probably not going to show everything it has here at this particular track, but when they get to the high bank circuit, certainly that's where they're going to show their legs.
Jacques Lazier, the big move thus far. And now DeFerrin has settled in. And I would suspect this is part of the Penske approach. Don't go up and battle with the front if you don't have to. Even though Castroneves sits in second, his job probably for the early laps would be just to watch the leader.
At this point in time, they're just putting in laps, trying to understand what's going on with the car, making some adjustments inside the cockpit that the drivers have available to them. And you can see that they're running 192 to 191 miles per hour. What a great speed right now for a full load of fuel. And just the tires are coming up to temperature, and without a doubt, they're radioing back to the team and telling them what's going on with the car.
Scott, you can be a national champion, you can be the IRL champion like Sam Hornish is, and your education does not stop. Pancho Carter continuing to talk Sam Hornish through the corners and reminding him that Homestead is a place where one must time one's passes. If you go back a year ago, that was a problem that Hornish had in the middle of last year's race.
Well, it goes to something that we talked about before, that you're turning more time in one lap going through the turns here than you are going down the straightaway. In a 26-second lap, you are 10 seconds going down the straights, 16 seconds going around the turns. A lot of your passing will be done in the turns themselves.
Looking back to second place, Helio Castroneves, the defending Indianapolis 500 champion. If you're looking at these different cars and trying to figure out what one looks like versus another, when you see Castroneves, look at the little camera pod up on top because it's bright orange like the rest of the car, as is a bit of his helmet. And on DeFerrin, it's white. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Eddie Cheever released from the hospital. Obviously, you're all right. What happened on the track? Did you get pushed off the groove?
No, my teammate hit me from behind. DeFerrin passed. I filtered him behind him, and he just came in too deep. We talked about this the whole weekend. Take your time. Make sure there's room in a pass. I would be just as angry right now if he had hit somebody else on the track. It was uncalled for, stupid, and right now I'm so angry I'm beside myself.
That's Eddie Cheever. Boy, what a tough way to start a brand new racing season.
Yeah, and if I'm Scheckter, I think I'll make sure I stay out for the whole 200 laps. And then, if I can win it, that would be a good thing, too, because then I won't have to talk to Eddie for a while.
Well, that might take a little bit of the spark off of it, but you have to think back to what Eddie was doing just 3 weeks ago, trying to make a decision. Does he hire Al Unser Jr. with all the experience, or does he hire Thomas Scheckter, who's a rookie, but showed brilliant speed? Today, he might be questioning his decision.
They're going to give the black flag to John DeVries, one of the rookies in the field. Drive-through penalty acknowledged in the pits when he made a stop earlier. We're on board now. Looking at the fight for third place, you're with Lazier. Jacques Lazier with Robbie Buell just up ahead of him.
What we're looking at here, as we talked about with that front cover off, that's the springs and the shocks that are on the car. That's where all the adjustment goes on for getting these cars to go around the corner so they can tune them just to be as quick as they possibly can be.
Scott, what about aerodynamically? Having that shock cover off, does that do anything to the balance of the car?
Well, I think right now you can see the area where the shock cover is missing. It's far enough up on the car that it's not being disturbed by the airflow. Now, if that was a wing that was missing on the front or something going on the side with some of the louvers, absolutely changing the aerodynamics of the car. But this piece itself is not that important.
As a matter of fact, Scott, our camera's sitting way up on top, over the top of the roll hoop in the intake. There's a good chance that unless Jacques saw it go, he doesn't even know it's not there.
Well, as a driver, you probably would know that it flew off in front of you, because when things go like that, even though you're doing 200 miles an hour, you're very much aware of it.
It does get your attention.
It will get your attention.
So it is Sam Hornish Jr. out in front. Fourth time that he's led the opening lap. Caution flag comes out, another car in trouble. And that's Jacques Lazier. Oh my goodness, after that great run. And suddenly he's against the wall.
Well, here again, guys, in turns 3 and 4, we talked about the wind coming across out of the fields, going into 3 and through 4, and it just might be that the wind is starting to play in a few of these guys.
You said it right at the start. The wind was going to be the problem. Jacques Lazier takes the wheel off. Good signal that he's okay. IRL safety team is right there, ready to help him, but the help doesn't appear to be needed. They're just going to try to get that car out of the way as fast as they can and get back to competition. Jacques Lazier, second of those two cars.
There again, the same thing we talked about before. In the middle of 3 and 4, there's a little bit of a bump there, contributed probably from the winds, just enough to send the car off into the turn. The car in front was far enough away that it was not getting any dirty air from that car to disturb the aerodynamic flow on Jacques' car.
So under the caution, it's Hornish, Castroneves, Buell, and now with the elimination of Lazier, Gilles de Ferran moves up into 4th place, then Ward.
Under the second caution here at Homestead Miami Speedway because of an incident on the track involving Jacques Lazier. Well, the driver who finished second in this race last year and last year's most popular driver in the Indy Racing League is Sarah Fisher. Sarah, unfortunately, as you can see, is not in a driver's uniform. Sarah, please bring us up to date on when we might see you back in a race car.
Hi, Bob. Thanks for having me on. No, I don't know really when I'm going to be back in a race car, to be honest. I mean, Walker Racing and I'm trying really hard to secure a sponsorship to be involved in the series for the rest of the year, but IndyCar racing is where my heart is at. I'm going to do anything to be here.
Well, Sarah, we will, I would think, see you most certainly at the Indianapolis 500.
I hope so. Right now we don't have anything secure enough to be committed to the Indy 500, but the Indy 500 is what I live for, and we're going to do everything possible to be there.
Sarah, we wish you the best and hope to see you back in a car very, very soon.
Thank you very much.
And we are about to go back green here. Let's go to Paul Page.
As the field now begins to take form once again with Jacques Lazier's car off, and Scott, you were speculating that there might have been a tire go down on that car as well.
Well, when we saw the car being pushed out of the way, the right rear tire was soft, and it didn't look like it was actually flat spotted by skidding into the turn. So I would only presume that he may have lost a right rear tire to cause that damage.
And Jack Arute reported it's the team's intention to try and get that car repaired and get it back into the fight.
And Paul, in fact, that's indeed what they are doing right now. They removed the nose, and they are taping the new shock cover over on the car. Butch Meyer, by the way, from the engine development of Menard, is taking over as general manager here. And they've completed their work in about 4 minutes as we go back to green.
Back to the green flag. Hornish leads them back. Then Castroneves, and you'll see Scheckter in there. But Scheckter is actually 2 laps behind the race.
And I can tell
going for the lead. Helio Castroneves goes in front.
What a nice move. Just got a draft off of Hornish going down the backstretch into 3. Ducked underneath him as he wanted to turn into the turn itself. And here comes Hornish.
Hornish is coming right back at him. Hornish moves to the outside. Lets him know he's there. Tucks in behind him.
What a great pass we saw in the beginning, but I'll tell you, Hornish won't be happy sitting back there at all. He wants to lead every lap that he's on the racetrack.
Hornish is not going to let this one go. He comes off the corner high, then he dives inside, and he takes it back from Castroneves.
Boy, you would think this was the last 5 laps of the race, Paul. Just the type of passing that's going on now. 2 young guns that are after leading this race as much as they can.
Now, third car in that line, that's Scheckter. He's 2 laps down. Then Gilles de Ferran. Robbie Buell sits in 4th.
We have another yellow. Looks like Ricky Treadway possibly coming off of turn 4.
Yeah. Just off of the 4th turn, heavy damage right side of the race car. And this brings us back to that whole issue about what the rookies may run into.
Well,
down at the bottom, though,
yes,
got a glimpse of Jacques Lazier.
He's back out, obviously a couple of laps down. This car is damaged quite heavily, as you can see on the right-hand side.
This is turn 4. Now watch for Rick. Got the back end turn just at the last second. I think that's going to help.
Well, I'm going to speculate that I think he came in on that last yellow, and we just went to green, and I'm going to speculate that possibly the tires were not up to temperature as of yet, because that car came around pretty easy right in the middle, 3 and 4.
There's some good news. You saw him get out of the car.
That's always a good sign when you can step up out of the car. See, he's right directly behind the car. We'll stop it right there for a second. You can see he's headed backwards into the wall, and that's not a great thing to do. And let's roll it from there. And he just gets it turned around at the last minute and broadsides it into the wall. Now, he got there, I think, simply from getting some dirty air in the car in front of him, along with possibly the cold tires.
Again, that's part of the whole rookie thing until you actually run these in traffic. And everybody tries not to put you in traffic, either during private tests or during the practice at the track. This is really his first opportunity to find out what all that other arrow is going on. Here come first and second place down on the pit road.
What a battle these guys are having, not only on the racetrack, but in the pit lane.
They're not giving up on each other at all. Hornish, Castroneves, both those cars in. So is de Ferran.
Now,
in fact, most of the field is in. Buell comes in as well.
Everybody's going to take advantage of this. 4 new Firestone tires, 35 gallons of methanol fuel, possibly some adjustments on the car. You can see from Hornish's, not an adjustment done there. And that's also very close to the Marlboro team.
Panther Racing won that battle. There was no question about it. But out of Marlboro team Penske, de Ferran got out ahead of Castroneves.
And Paul, this is an ongoing battle that we alluded to. Pennzoil Team Panther feels that the first chair in racing has come to race in the Indy Racing League, that of Team Penske. And they say they want to beat them on the racetrack, in the pits, and they don't want to just beat them by a 1/10 of a second. They didn't that time.
Most of the field came in, Jeff Ward stayed out. We will return with more of the Grand Prix of Miami after this message and a word from our ABC stations. The Grand Prix of Miami, the Indy Racing League opener for the season at the Homestead Miami Speedway. And already we've seen plenty of great action and more than enough incidents. The latest incident came just a few moments ago, and it involves Jacques Lazier.
And as we watch the replay, guys, here, we go along, stop it right there. You watch this from this point forward. Watch his hands right here. He's already fighting the car. And as he goes through the turn, it just comes around on him. We have had confirmation from the pits that he had a soft right rear tire going down. So this is not a driver error. It's not really caused by the wind, but it is caused from that right rear tire going soft.
And that caution, he was able to come into the pits on the last caution, get it nice and repaired and back out. Only Jeff Ward stopped on the last yellow. Now, join us Sunday, March 17th, live from Phoenix, round 2 of the 2002 Indy Racing League Series, the Phoenix 200, right here on ABC. And read Jack Arut's race analysis every Monday online at ESPN.com, keyword ABC Sports. Jack Arut?
Bob, Sam Hornish is a youngster. He doesn't remember the old days, Paul, when we had a situation that there were no radios and there were chalkboards. Here's what's happened with Pennzoil Panther. The radio for Sam to transmit to his crew has gone out, that side of the frequency. They cannot hear him. He can hear them and the spotter. So last time by, they wanted an acknowledgement. They said, if you can hear us, Sam, put the palm of your hand on his head. Sam went, and they all just shook their head down here and said, oh my God, he's got to learn better hand signals.
Wait a minute. We didn't see that, Jack.
Right, let's show you.
Jack, you still there? I want to see this.
He goes up, and instead of the way we would do it, he goes, looked like he was wearing a headdress.
Could you do that one more time, Jack? No, I'm just kidding. So, let's go to Bob Jenkins, our host.
Well, as you indicated, a lot of excitement here in the early going of this race, as we have had 3 cautions that have resulted in contacts with the wall. Everything looking okay as far as driver injury is concerned right now. The first one came on lap number 2. There is the hood flying off of Jacques Lazier's car, the shock cover. Then Eddie Cheever Jr. and his newly hired teammate, Thomas Scheckter, collide, sending Cheever, the boss, into the wall. He is not a happy person. Then on lap number 23, Lazier, with that shock cover off, has a right rear tire going down, sending him to the wall. Not hard contact. Hopefully he'll be out there in competition a little bit later. Then on lap 29, this is the most recent incident. This is Rick Treadway. They just picked up sponsorship on that car last night, Airlink. However, he did have an incident with the wall down in turn number 4, and right now he is being checked over at the infield medical center. So those 3 incidents have sort of stopped the activity for the moment. We should be back to green before too much longer. We're at the opener of the 2002 Indy Racing League season here at Homestead Miami Speedway, and right now Jeff Ward is being shown as the leader of the race. The green average 182.7 miles an hour. So far, Sam Hornish has led the most laps, 30. Jeff Ward has been in front for 5 laps, and Elio Castro-Neves led 1. And there you can see the 2 cars that have officially been eliminated from competition. Alex Barron right now being shown in 2nd position. Ayrton Dare substituting for Donnie Beechler is running in 3rd. Aliseo Salazar is 4th, so both A.J. Foyt cars are running 3rd and 4th right now. And being shown in 5th position is Billy Rowe as a result of pit stops. Back to Paul Page and Scott Goodyear.
So as a result of not having made the pit stop, Ward is in front. Barron stopped on the 24th lap, and the Foyt cars also stopped on lap 24, just ahead of the incident. Field now begins to bunch up. They're ready to come back to the green flag. Ward, that white car is Barron. Dare is sitting there in 3rd place as they come back to the green. They kick through a little of the oil dry. No problem back there in the field with that cloud. That's just the oil dry they put on from Rick Treadway's accident.
Now, the great thing to watch here, guys, is all the driving by the guys that were leading before we went yellow. Coming through the field, having to deal with all the dirty air from the cars in front, plus the wind that we spoke about. You see the bright yellow car of Sam Hornish Jr. followed very closely by the Marlboro cars. Those guys are going to be carving through traffic. They want to get back up front.
Pennzoil car of Hornish. He's on. You're on board with him now. And Billy Boat's got a problem.
Well, that is very strange because he's sitting just right in the middle of the track. It does not look like he's made any contact anywhere. Certainly could have been a malfunction of electronics or engine. We'll have to wait to find out.
Well, of course, that will bring the yellow flag out once again. Yeah, there's nothing real obvious with that car, and Billy's staying in like, I want to get this thing back to the pits. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, the guy that just got let out of the crash house, as A.J. Foyt would say, is his Harris driver. And Donnie Beechler, that was a tough break for you yesterday. What do you think finally happened to the Harris machine?
Well, I mean, we had new sticker tires on out there, and I took it 3 or 4 good practice laps, and we got pretty comfortable in 1 and 2, but it was awful windy yesterday, just like it is today, and I think I may have gotten, some air taken off of the rear wing, and it just turned me sideways, and you can't save these things too often.
You guys have had some really terrible luck since you came to Miami.
I love Miami. It's a great city, but we haven't had good luck here with the racetrack, and hopefully Ayrton and Salazar will do a good job for us today.
Well, it's good to see you back at the racetrack. And Paul, I heard the great line from the Foyt crew. They said, our luck has been so bad, our pet duck drowned.
Beechler coming out of sprints and midgets. Great driver for A.J. Foyt. We want to see him back. This is the accident yesterday that put Beechler into the wall and out of competition. He was all right as soon as he got out of the car, but then I guess he got disoriented later, and Dr. Henry Bach and the medical team said, you know, we're not going to take any chances. Let's get him into the hospital and make absolutely sure he's okay. So the field lined up behind Jeff Ward still, 41 laps into the record books, and Scheckter has now made up 1 of 2 laps. Well, for Billy Boat, it looks like it was a little more than just stopping on the racetrack. Watch this. You're on board, Jacques Lazier.
You can see Jock is off the gas, getting past on the inside. Stop it right there. And he got taken out basically from Boat coming in on the right-hand side and trying to go around Jock because you were 3 wide going into the turn at that time, and that's not really going to happen.
Fortunately, Jacques Lazier kept control of it, kept it away from the wall. Boat did like a half spin down to the inside, and he was able to get back to the pits, but then it died on pit road, and now, just now, it's arriving for the first time back in his pit.
And that is the longest push that a crew has to make.
Not a warm-up lane. He wants you to come in.
You're on board Al Unser Jr. Now, the report was that he's had some problems with the electrics. Gary Gerald, you've been on top of that?
Yeah, Paul, we checked in with them, and they said, yes, they did have a glitch of some kind that shut down the ECU, but it kicked back in. They thought the problem was okay. Last time they went out, now it's resurfaced again as the field's getting ready to go green.
So Al Unser Jr. will be in the pits as the field comes by toward the green flag. Again, the red car is Ward. Alex Barron is the white 44, and that's Eliseo Salazar, the blue and white car, with the early leader and pole sitter, Sam Hornish Jr., sitting back there now being challenged.
And last time we went to green, Sam Hornish went from 7th to 4th in just 1 lap. Watch for him to try and make a few more moves here. 1 lap once again.
Sam's a little careful there, but look at that. That's Ayrton Dare. He's replacing Johnny Beechler, who you just met. And Dare has given this car a great ride.
When Ayrton Dare got the call, they said A.J. Foyt's on the phone. Dare laughed. When the man on the phone says, do you have your equipment with you? He said, yeah, sure. When he was talking on the cell, he walked over to the pit of A.J. Foyt, and lo and behold, it was Foyt on the phone.
Thought it was a practical joke. It wasn't. And now he's paying A.J. back. He's given the car a wonderful ride. Hornish looks low on him.
And guys, what a wonderful thing this is for Ayrton Dare, because he had not been in the car since last October, got a couple of warm-up laps, qualified the car, only had about 15 or 20 laps in the car in warm-up this morning, and here he is running in front of last year's champion.
And guys, he'd never run a Dallara chassis before. It's a whole new world for him.
Hornish gets along the outside, and now he has Dare. And so he moves to 4th place behind Eliseo Salazar. Leader is still Ward. Alex Barron is still 2nd. Ward begins to pull away. Salazar closes on Barron. Barron driving for Blair Racing, new team to the series.
Inside, clear.
On board with Hornish. Tomorrow, join ABC Sports for our college hoop season finale. Our doubleheader begins at 1 Eastern when Memphis battles number 4 Cincinnati, or Temple takes on St. Joe's. And then followed by number 3 Duke Blue Devils against Tobacco Road rival North Carolina. That's tomorrow, starting at 1 Eastern, right here on ABC. Check your local listings for the games in your area. Hornish around Barron, now in 2nd place. Sights set on Jeff Ward. It's a good story for Jeff. This all came together just at the last minute. He got an opportunity to test the car for Chip Ganassi. during the test in the West out at Fontana, put in 9 really good laps. It was a long conversation as the sun was setting. They were both, Chip Ganassi and Jeff Ward, sitting over on the curb doing those negotiations, but it didn't come together until just a few days ago.
And one of the things, Paul, that helped it all come together is the IRL's new Leaders Circle program that provides close to $500,000 to teams that support the entire series at $500,000 in product, services, and cash. Miami Heat is on the side of the car of the Ganassi operation today, and it's nice to see the NBA discovering auto racing.
Well, at 193.4 miles an hour, you saw at the line that Hornish was the fastest on that last lap, and he's just reeling Jeff Ward in. Ward 192 last time around.
And this is the first race that Jeff Ward has led since Atlanta last April. So I'm certainly sure he's loving this feeling right now. There's nothing better than being in front, seeing no cars in front of you, looking in your mirror, looking at all those guys chasing you.
Not a lot of conversation between Jeff Ward and the Ganassi team. Instead, they're remaining somewhat silent. Not even Scott giving him lap splits or time splits. They ain't even told him how close or how fast second place Hornish is getting to him.
Gil DeFerrin on the move now. You had a glimpse of him just a moment ago. He's coming up through the field too. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Another driver released from the medical center. Rick Treadway, you obviously appear to be okay. Everything, you hurting at all?
Yeah, I'm okay. Everything's great. I'm looking forward to going to Phoenix. Really happy. Airlink, Treadway Hubbard, Chevy, Firestone, they did a great job repairing the car. The car felt awesome until I tried to pass Al Unser Jr. There was a gust of wind, and the wind coming off his car just took the air out from my wings, and the car started spinning around, and I was just along for the ride.
Add that to the experience tank for a disappointed rookie, but he's smiling. Thank you.
We'll get him in Phoenix.
All right, 2 weeks.
Exactly what you said, Scott Goodyear. It's great to have you here right fresh out of the car. And in fact, one of the cars that you're fresh out of is looking pretty good right now as Hornish continues to close on Ward.
He's doing a great job, and that's why he was a champion last year. And I'm sure that he's getting all the information on his dash that maybe he can't get over the radio if they're still having that difficulty problem. But Sam Hornish, I'm sure, would like to be in front and lead those laps because that's one of the key things on his list. He always says, I want to lead every lap that I'm out there in the car.
Scott, let's quickly update you on Al Unser Jr. as well. The service has been completed on his car. He is back out in the Cortico car. It was indeed an electrical problem for Al Unser Jr.
And it cost him 4 minutes and 22 seconds and 10 laps.
Inside, clear.
You're on board with little Al, and to start, I told you I thought that this was definitely a guy to watch. I still believe that. That had nothing to do with Al.
Pressure behind, check your
Well,
mirrors.
before little Al got back in the race car, when they named him the driver for Kelly Racing, his crew went to him and said, have you ever driven a Dallara? Al said, nope. When was the last time you drove? He said, October in Texas. The guys all looked to the ceiling and go, oh boy. He grabbed him, he said, look, you guys put 4 wheels on that thing. Give me a steering wheel. It's just a race car.
That's an Unser. Back at the front watching Jeff Ward. Hornish is in second. You got a glimpse when you were on board, though, with Al. Coming up to speed and didn't seem to be fully there yet because Felipe Giafoni just shot past him.
Not only shot past him, it looked like he was fighting the wheel a little bit, though.
We'll be back with more from Miami. Still under green with the IRL in Miami. We want to get you up to speed. Just a few moments ago, Hornish was looking spectacular. Here he is sitting in second place behind Jeff Ward, and then zoom, goodbye.
Ward gets in behind those cars, slows up just a little bit, but it doesn't slow down Sam. Out he goes around the outside of Ward, and watch how close he gets here. He actually turns the wheel to the right to avoid the rear wheel of Jeff Ward.
Boy, Hornish is hooked up. Jeff Ward due into the pits. Ganassi team there he is.
Watching this crew go to work. Mike Hall for Chip Ganassi Racing Team. They've had success at Indy. Now they're full-time runners in the IRL. That's a great stop. 10.8 seconds, and he's out of here.
Of course, giving up not only the second place that he fell to, but as he came out, he comes out about 9th place. Hornish is now the leader. Salazar in second. And Salazar's teammate, Ayrton Dare sits in third. Alex Barron is fourth. Jill DeFerrin coming up through the field now is in fifth, and Robbie Buell is sixth. There's the 7th and 8th place cars. Felipe Giafone and Scott Sharp. You're on board with Scott.
Everything looks smooth for Scott. You can see he doesn't really seem like he's fighting the wheel. He's going to make a shift to the gear change there, like you just saw his right hand go back down. But it doesn't look like the car's working as well as he wants it to. He's not able just to be able to pull up behind people and drive around them.
Got an engine let go over on the backside. Hideki Noda, 20 car. He gets it down. He was falling well behind the race, though. He was 8 laps behind the lead.
Well, not only is that...
Little fire there in the engine compartment. Should be okay. But I wondered how he was seeing there for a while.
Well, I'll tell you, if it was me, I'd be unbuckling that thing, stopping it, and bailing off and getting out of it.
Rookie to this series. Most of his success seen in Formula Nippon. Yeah, he really ought to get to a fire truck. He's there. They're going to help him. He needs to pop those belts pretty quick, though.
That's what the safety crew is telling him there right now. You can just see that black smoke billowing out of there. There's so much apparatus a driver has on today, especially if he has a head and neck restraint. It's difficult to get out of the car, but you would think if it's on fire, you'd be unbelting yourself as the car is still rolling.
Yeah, but he knew the engine blew. Unless they told him on his radio, he's probably not real sure that something else happened. Doesn't know about the fire behind him, right? Well, or can he feel the heat coming?
Well, I think you could feel the heat, but when the cockpit fills of smoke, I'm out of there.
That would be a clue.
That's a good clue.
He's obviously okay, though. He clutched at his stomach for a moment there. And that slows the field again with Hornish as the leader. And we do expect Sam Hornish Jr. to head down onto the pit road at the conclusion of the 68th lap.
And Paul, remember that Sam Hornish cannot talk to his crew. So Rocket Blanche went out to the side last time around and signaled to Sam to see if he wanted any changes. It was going to be a hand signal. 1 for a turn, a half turn in the front way, or 2 for 1. And Sam just did a slashing movement across his neck. And he came back and says, you don't want anything changed on the car.
So here he comes right to you, Jack.
Sam Hornish has to come all the way to the end of pit road. And remember last year, guys, a couple of times, he got a little over anxious leaving the pits. It's hard to remember that this guy is still just a third-year driver. The crew goes to work. Hornish taking some hydration, and that is extremely important in this heat. A very fast and it's accomplished in 9.7 seconds. That's 2 of the quickest stops I've ever seen.
And again, much of the field came in on that stop, so now they all come out together. And they'll rejoin the field under the yellow. We'll return with more of the Grand Prix of Miami after this message and a word from our ABC station.
Back at Homestead Miami Speedway, once again we are under caution here in the Grand Prix of Miami, the very first race of the 2002 Indy Racing League schedule. And right now, Sam Hornish Jr., as a result of some good pit work and some outstanding activity on the racetrack, maintains the lead. Let's check up on some of the incidents that we have had in the recent laps. As Hornish is the leader after 72, and there is a green race average of 188.9 miles an hour. 3 cars are now out of the competition. Noda is the most recent to cause the caution flag. His car developed a fire in the back end of it. He jumped out of the car, appears to be okay. Let's go down to pit road for a further report.
Well, Bob, we're standing down here in the Penske pit, and Roger Penske keeping a close eye, of course, on his 2 drivers, now full-time competitors in the IRL. Maybe I can get a word here. Roger, you said early on you just wanted to finish. Any panics, any concern?
What?
You said you just wanted to finish. Any panics or concerns at this point?
Well, we're just sitting here. We got 130 laps to go. Hornish is strong, so we've got to stay in there.
They're trying to stay in the hunt. They're keeping an eye on the front runner, but they want to collect points. There's no doubt about that, because that was a huge part of Sam Hornish's championship effort last season.
Now, Roger's going to have to get accustomed to the normally aspirated engine, too. He normally listened to the turbos in the past. A little bit louder here. Now, Roger Penske watches his 2 drivers, Jill DeFerrin and Helio Castroneves. Hornish is in front. Darian Salazar in second place, so little strategy going, Scott Goodyear.
A.J. Foyt strategy, without a doubt. Played it right. The yellow came to them at the right time to come in. And one thing you have to say is a little bit of bad luck for Jeff Ward. He was only a couple of laps away from collecting that yellow to come in under yellow because he had to pit underneath green. Everybody else has had the advantage of a yellow.
Not atypical of the first race of a season. We've had 5 cautions thus far for just over 35 laps. There's the effect of the last stops with Salazar and Dare swap in position, ready to go back green. By the way, Billy Boat did get restarted and is back in the group. That's Barron coming way to the inside.
Nice move by him, making it 3 wide on the front stretch, taking advantage of getting on the gas and timing that green flag just right.
DeFerrin accelerates down the back stretch.
He looks to be the strongest out of both those cars today, where the green flag dropped and it was Helio just going off.
That's DeFerrin, then Salazar just behind him, but DeFerrin now wants to try and overhaul Dare just ahead of him. Remember, Dare is replacing Donnie Beechler in the cockpit. Beechler is here at the track, but he was in an accident yesterday, and the medical director said it's not a great idea for you to drive today.
Sounds like some communication going on from Dare, but I said this a second ago and I'll say it again. He had not been in the car since last year, had not tested like everybody else that he's running around right now. Got in the car, only did a couple of laps before qualifying, and here he is, just like he'd been on the winter test program.
So Hornish, Dare, DeFerrin, Salazar. Helio Castroneves is sitting back in 9th place. So despite where Rogers keeping track of them, Castroneves fell back there, and then he's been kind of locked in that 9th position.
One guy we can see at the top of the screen coming out of 4th, that last segment was Scott Sharp. It looks like he's now starting to make a move up from where he was once he had new tires and fuel put on board.
In that ongoing battle within the rookies, remember we started this race with 7 of them. Anthony Lazzaro is the best positioned right now at 10th place. Now there's Jeff Ward, who caught just a horrible break. He took over the lead on a yellow by not stopping. That was a good break. Then he started to have a little vibration problem and came into the pits just before the last yellow.
As we mentioned, a little bit of bad timing there, but he's being very cautious going around Al Jr. As you recall, Al Jr. had that electrical problem. He's down a few laps. He was not 4th position. Does not want to get tangled up on him on the way by. Did a nice, smooth, cautious pass. Made sure that Al knew he was underneath him.
Inside, clear. All clear.
And you alluded to before, Paul, that maybe it looked like Al Jr. was not up to speed as quick as possible last time out. And I think we're seeing that same thing happening right now.
Back at the front, there is Sam Hornish Jr., pole sitter, early leaders, led the most laps, relinquished the lead for a while, but is back in front again. And there is the interval. Back to Ayrton Dare. Then comes DeFerrin. And now you're catching there is Salazar, blue and white, and that's Alex Barron just behind him. So those are your front runners. Don't forget to join us on Sunday, March 17th, live from Phoenix for round 2 of the 2002 Indy Racing League Series. Penske, Ganassi, Kelly, Menard, all of those teams will be back trying to prove that they are the teams to beat this season. The Phoenix Indy 200, Sunday, March 17th, right here on ABC. And also join us for Indy Racing Today at noon on ESPN2.
We're watching a great battle between Barron and those guys are out there along with Salazar. Salazar himself, I spoke to him the other day. He didn't seem like he had all that much confidence in the car. He mentioned they only had 2 days of testing, and that was over at Phoenix, and they had not tested here at Homestead. He did seem a little bit concerned about it, but he is running very strong here today.
Scott, it was a big day for Eliseo Salazar yesterday when he brought his son, Eliseo IV, to the racetrack for the first time. And I asked him, I said, well, did your son enjoy it? He said, oh, he loved it all until he met AJ and he started crying. And I said, well, he says, well, I'm past 40, and every time I see AJ, I'm afraid of him.
Oh, there's Alex Barron, the 44 car for Blair Racing. Many times as he makes a great move on Salazar.
Clear.
He's for years just been looking for a good ride. Gary, this may finally be it.
Well, it's really interesting, Paul, when you look at what Larry Blair has done in a short period of time. The testing that they did in the off-season as he assembled the new team was with last year's Aurora, the Oldsmobile power plant. They finally got, for the first time this weekend, the new generation Chevy power plant, and Barron's making it paying off. And you look at the team they've assembled with Tom Gloy, John Dick as an engineer, the veteran Bob Sproul up on the roof shouting down the instructions. It's a really, I think, a team to watch, a solid team. They could sneak up on some people and make it very interesting.
Last lap around 185 miles an hour for Barron, but Sam Hornish Jr. as the leader of the race continues to turn laps above 188 miles an hour. Back with the Indy Racing League, the Grand Prix of Miami. The rookies in the field. We mentioned a few moments ago that Anthony Lazzaro was currently the highest placed rookie in the field. You look down the left column there, and you'll see their current positions for all of the rookies. Thomas Scheckter is 1 lap behind the lead. He made up one of his 2 laps. And Noda and Treadway, of course, are both out of competition. It is still Sam Hornish Jr., reigning champion of the Indy Racing League. Look at this. This is DeFerrin going for second with Dare. DeFerrin now has second.
Nice clean move by Gilles DeFerrin. Now he's got some clear track in front of him. He's going to have to chase down Hornish. His last couple of laps, Hornish is still running about a mile an hour faster than Gilles DeFerrin. We'll see if he can now pick it up that he's in clean air.
And Jack Arute, are you with us? You were saying that Foyt is on a fuel conservation mode despite these good laps by Dare?
Yeah, what they're trying to do, Paul, is just see what's going to happen in this particular run. Not really pushed as hard as they would, let's say, if they felt like maybe they could have a caution come out. Because Scott Goodyear, as you and I were discussing, it's awfully hard unless they can get another caution and get about 10 laps of yellow to do this race in anything less than 2 more stops.
Well, absolutely. With the laps that are left now, they're going to have some help that way. Otherwise, it would almost just as soon ruin your race if you had 10 laps left to go and had to come in for a splash of fuel. At this type of track, there's no way that you could actually probably even stay on the same lead lap.
Well, approaching the halfway point, 93 complete, 107 to go. Looking at the interval there, DeFerrin and Dare, as DeFerrin now begins to just inch away. But still, he's a good 8, almost 9 seconds back from the leader, Hornish.
And not only that, Paul, but he's also running speeds about a mile or a mile and a half hour slower than Sam Hornish Jr. So Sam's just going to keep on pulling away from him.
We got a glimpse of Penske for a moment there. Roger Penske, a long and storied history with many successes in the sport. They call him the captain. Back at the front. Is this the next great legend in the sport? Sam Hornish Jr. In just 3 years, he's racked up an amazing record.
I'll tell you what, Paul, he really got everyone's attention at Daytona International Speedway in round 1 of IROC. Hornish was one of the top guys and led the brigade of IRL racers against NASCAR. And for the first time in my memory, it was a spirited contest between the fender guys and the open wheel guys at Daytona. Right, Scott?
Absolutely was. I remember calling that race, and Sam just did a great job. Had some time in the car, not as much as those closed wheel guys, though. Watch the race at the very beginning. You'll see him sit back there, learn, move himself up, put himself in the right position for the last 5 laps.
Laps led last year in the Indy Racing League. Look at Hornish. Just going away. Boy, was he powerful.
Outside, clear.
That's George Mack, one of the rookies with over 200 go-kart victories in his career. Now coming up to run in the Indy Racing League that Hornish just got around. So Hornish smoothly running, though as he handles traffic, his speed falls off a little bit. 184 miles an hour last time around. And DeFerrin is beginning to nibble away about 0.2 a lap on Hornish's lead, that mostly owing to traffic. Jeff Ward wants back on the leader lap. That's Ward, the red Miami Heat car, right behind Sam Hornish Jr., the leader. He's been trying him for about 3 laps now.
Oh, he's been trying to get past him. He needs his lap back because if they go back to a yellow situation, he will be down a lap if Sam is in front of him. Been fighting him. He seems like he's got the better of him going into turn 3 and 4. Sam definitely has to keep in front of him, but he seems to have the better car in 1 and 2.
And for the first time in this particular battle, though, traffic is beginning to enter in.
Sam gets around clean of the traffic in that situation. Jeff Ward gets hung up, and you can see Sam pulling away, and this is what Sam wants to do because he knows at the end of the race, Jeff Ward could be a factor if he's on the same lap.
Going back to the battle, 2nd and 3rd. Not a battle per se at the moment, but Dare, after DeFerrin got around him, has kind of attached himself to the back of DeFerrin's car, and DeFerrin, he's not nibbling quite as hard as he was on Hornish. He's now 8.1 seconds back.
No, I think Gilles being very smart right now. He knows there's still about 100 laps left to go in this race. Not going to be able to do anything right now that's probably going to make a difference in the outcome, so he's probably sitting back, conserving tires, maybe conserving fuel, and he knows that there's probably going to be another yellow at some point in time to allow him to actually get back up behind Sam.
And Scott, one of the things that if you do not remember history, you're doomed to make the same mistakes yet again. When Jeff Ward had his problem, it was at the end, as you said, of his fuel run. In chatting with Mitch Davis just now, he said he felt that contributed to Wardy losing the handle on the car and bringing out the caution. So all these drivers that are going to run the risk of running the 35-gallon tank right down to the bottom, they're going to have their hands full with a race car.
You heard Roger Penske on the two-way just a moment ago talking to Gilles DeFerrin, told him that they're going to stop at about the 125th lap, and then you heard that nice calming voice, take it easy, we're where we want to be.
And Paul, they're targeting roughly 50 laps on each fuel run. So you do a quick math, if they stop around 120, tack on another 50, they definitely would be, without an extended period of yellow, need another stop before they got to the flag.
And again, the whole thing will turn 2 on caution. We've had 5 today for 34 laps. On Sunday, March 10th, catch ESPN's first original motion picture. Brian Dennehy stars as Bobby Knight in A Season on the Brink, part of The Block on ESPN. For more information, log on to ESPN.com.
Well, let's update you on the pit strategy for Sam Hornish Jr. I just talked to John Barnes. They are looking and have circled lap 125 as their next stop. Now, I'm not a math major, but I don't think you can go 75 laps at Miami on 35 gallons of fuel.
Good job, plus .2. Hold your line, hold your line.
Seems like just a touch long, especially with Penske trying to figure it at 50. We saw Ward carry it just at 60, a little over 60 laps. Couple of guys in here doing very well. Robbie Buell in the 24 car continues to stay up near the front, currently running in 6th place.
Doing an excellent job. Infinity Power G-Force chassis. The season this year is actually ruled by a different chassis throughout the whole season. I think you'd have to say that Robbie Buell himself has been spending more time on this G-Force chassis, thinking it's going to be hopefully a help to him win this championship.
And there's a quiet confidence emanating from that Dreyer and Reinbold Purex team. I chatted with John O'Gara, their crew chief, and they like their chances to win not once, but multiple times this season. And I think that says a lot when you look at the depth of competition in 2002 in the IRL.
So there is Buell sitting back in 6th place. Behind him is Castroneves. Here is the leader once again, Hornish. Now pulling out a little bit through that last stint of traffic he had to run through. He's able to put 11.3 seconds on 2nd place to Farron.
Not only that, Paul, but you look at the situation now. He's pulled out more, but he's also running about 190 miles an hour versus 185 for DeFerrin.
Well, that is a full straightaway on Gilles DeFerrin. So Sam Hornish Jr., still the leader at Miami. We'll return with more of the Grand Prix of Miami after this message and a word from our ABC station.
there's a wing adjustment taking place on Ayrton Dare's AJ Foyt car. A quick stop is off the way, and Paul Page, that's the first of the leaders to pit. So much for fuel conservation.
And Dare, with a burst of speed just before he came in, got around Gilles de Ferran for second place, and then almost immediately turned down on the pit road. But Scott, as Jack says, that's probably just the first of a whole group that are going to stop in the next few laps.
Absolutely. Over the next 5 or 6 laps, everybody's going to have to come in for fuel that's running in that top lead group. And the most important thing for them right now is to get in clean and get out clean.
One of the great drivers out of this race. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Buddy Lassira, former champion. What was the problem, buddy, that put you on this side of the wall?
We were losing oil pressure, but we weren't having our best day. But you know, it's a long race, so you want to keep on working and working on the car. In the pit stops, we felt like we could have gotten it better and had a decent points day.
After all the anticipation for a season opener, how much does it hurt when you have one that ain't like this?
Well, it hurts a lot, but it's a long season. Because there's a lot more races this year, I think it doesn't hurt as much as it has in the past when you drop out.
The optimism of race drivers, Paul.
Buddy Lassira, the winner of 5 of the last 15 IRL races. Look at this. Hornish has just gotten around Helio Castroneves. So he's overhauled the entire field except for second and third, de Ferran and Buell.
And Paul, next time by, your leader will pull on the pit road. Now watch when he pulls down on the pit road with inside of his crew. If he flat palms his helmet, that means that Sam Hornish wants a wing adjustment. Last time there was no adjustment. We'll be watching it along with you.
All right, he's on the pit road. Along with you, we'll watch de Ferran. You see him go by to assume the lead. He'll be in just 2 laps. Looking for a signal.
60-mile-an-hour pit speed limit.
Come on down here, reset fuel halfway down. Come on down, we'll put some tires and gas in you, buddy.
That was just taking a tearaway off.
Come on.
Now watch for Sam's hand signals. If he actually points to the front, that means he wants more front wing. And if he points up to the sky, that means he wants it to go up. If he points to the front and points down to the ground, that means he wants less front wing. And they have opted to have no wing change, so it means he's real happy with that race car.
Oh, I saw no changes on the front.
There were none, Paul. In 7.2 seconds, they simply added methanol, 4 Firestone tires, and sent that guy back out. I mean, 11.2 seconds.
So de Ferran takes over the lead. You saw him do that from Sam Hornish's point of view. But next lap, he should be on the pit road.
And that's Paul, a great call. In the next couple of laps, de Ferran says the car is sliding like crazy. Penske asked him to hold on for just a couple of more, but the crew is ready.
And Gary, that stop by Sam Hornish was some 2 seconds almost slower than his previous 2 stops. That could be a break for Gilles de Ferran. Now, the difference is on pit road.
Yeah, there was a problem mid-stop, Jack, where Sam took his both hands off the steering wheel just as they were trying to change the right front. And so the right front wiggled around a bit, and it took him just a little longer. Sam finally realized what he was doing and grabbed the wheel to steady the rack so that it wouldn't wiggle.
Yeah, Paul, he was bobbling with the water bottle as it was tossed into him. You know, some of these guys are not ambidextrous.
That would not include you, would it, Jack? Because you're a multitasker, as I think you
I
meant.
can multitask.
And now they begin in the Penske pit to actually anticipate de Ferran's arrival on the backstretch. His teammate Castroneves is up in second now. Hornish came out in third. De Ferran on the pit road.
We heard the report that Joe thought his car was sliding around too much. It'll be interesting to see if they do any changes here.
Scott, we watched from the back of the car. Castroneves' teammate is in the pit in front. Service appears to be routine for de Ferran. We have not seen any change aerodynamically, just tires. He's gone. Now they await Helio in the next pit. 12 seconds was the stop, so actually it was not quite as quick as that one Hornish made.
Castroneves picked up the lead for 1 lap. Now he's on the pit road, and that gives the lead back to Hornish with 128 complete. Let's go back to Gary.
So we watch from a pit box and a half away from behind over the wall as the other Penske team, Rick Reineman on that right front. Tim Cindric on the radio to Elio. Revs are high, no aero changes that we can see there as he's out.
11 seconds flat for Elio Castroneves.
Now, as you guys are reporting, these pit stops are taking a little bit longer than previous, and the reason being is that those fuel tanks are gravity fed. When they are full of fuel, the first stops are very, very fast. When the race goes on, the fuel in the tank is depleted, those stops get to be real, real slow. And I can tell you as a driver, it seems like eternity in there, waiting for that fuel and waiting for that signal to go.
Sam Hornish Jr. with 130 laps complete is the leader. Scott Sharp, yet to make a stop, is up in second place. Dare is third.
Outside, clear.
Back with you, the Grand Prix of Miami. Paul Page, Scott Goodyear. Down in the pits, it's Gary Gerald and Jack Arute. Bob Jenkins, your host, as we watch Sam Hornish, the reigning series champion in the Indy Racing League, leading so far an amazing number of laps here, keeping up a great green flag average, and maybe looking at his second win in a row here. At the same time, we're keeping track of the second place car, Ayrton Dare. He just went around Dare, Hornish did, and so he has lapped the entire field.
Just an amazing feat when you think about it. Started from the pole, was his first pole position that he's ever obtained. Didn't think that they maybe had a shot at it because they're about 4th or 5th in the practice runs. Comes out after a long delay yesterday, gets on the pole, and just takes off from the green flag forward here and is running away with it.
Current temperatures there for you. The wind's still an issue, Scott.
Absolutely. We see it's constant at 23 miles per hour. But the key thing that upsets the drivers around this circuit here is the gust that you get. And sometimes you can get a gust of an additional 10 miles per hour, taking that up to like 30 or 33. That's when the car just leaps out of its lane and goes up to another lane, and sometimes you can really give a driver a heart-frightening run.
Scott, I've got a question from the pits. We're talking about tires and temperatures. The fact that track temperatures never got above 70 degrees on the first day of practice, got up to about 95 degrees yesterday, now is reported well over 100. How much difference does that make to a veteran driver versus a rookie driver?
Well, I'll tell you, it's not only a veteran to a rookie driver. What ends up happening there is that the car just loses overall grip. And we heard a couple of reports, like for Gilles de Ferran, the car's sliding around everywhere. What it does is it takes away the grip out of the tires, it takes away the downforce out of the car, and the driver just has to work it harder through the turns, especially when he's in traffic. Now, one team that's been testing here all winter and in the heat is Panther Racing, with their driver, Sam Hornish Jr.
Meanwhile, back in the field, take a look at this fight. Salazar, Buell, and Ward. They're 5th, 6th, and 7th. Remember, everybody is a lap down to the leader, Hornish. Down to Jack Arute.
Paul, Donnie Beechler is watching. He is vibrating. That is Donnie Beechler's knee as he watches his replacement at the control of A.J. Foyt's Harris car. Let's go back to the National Football League season when Drew Bledsoe for the New England Patriots went down with an injury. Stepping up was Tom Brady, who took the team all the way to the Super Bowl, and Brady was named MVP. When you drop out of a car, Scott Goodyear, or you drop out of a football game, there's no time to look over your shoulder. Somebody wants to take your spot.
Yeah, this may be Beechler's worst nightmare.
Well, it certainly could be. When you think about it, there's got to be at least a half a dozen drivers walking up and down pit lane right now looking for rides. So as a driver, you certainly know that if you have an injury or you can't compete, that there's another guy there to take your spot.
Running hard through traffic now. There's Scheckter. He's been fast most of the day, but remember, problems early on. I'm sorry, that's Salazar and Dare. Scheckter sitting just back there. Now he makes his move. And it seems that DeFerrin is running just a touch slower than everybody. Now he comes back on.
We saw everybody go 3 wide there, and DeFerrin have to sort of thread the needle. It's times like that when the track just fills up in front of you, when there's 3 cars in front of you, there's just nowhere to go.
There's Scheckter. DeFerrin just behind him. A little further back is Castroneves. Currently the lineup. Hornish, lap on everybody. Dare, DeFerrin, Castroneves, Salazar, Buell. Those are your top 6. Hornish lapped the entire field. Last time a winner did that was at Texas in October of '99 when Mark Dismore lapped the runner-up Davey Hamilton.
Scott Goodyear, once again a question. Paul's talking about the last time that this has been done. We've talked so much about the anticipation of a new season and what it's like to come in with tight competition, and we thought we were going to see one of these multi-car battles maybe all afternoon long. How big of an upset or a shock or a surprise would you categorize the fact that Hornish and the Panther team are dominating the way they are?
Well, I'm sure the teams up and down pit road and the drivers are seeing what's going on, and they're just going, man, not again, because they did this to them last year. But I can tell you, as a driver coming out at the very beginning of the season, you have so much expectations of yourself and of the team. You hope you've done all the right moves in the wintertime, maybe with personnel or maybe with a new chassis or a new engine, and you just hope for the best. But the best thing that driver can do from here is that you have Phoenix in 2 weeks, and then you have an opportunity to go back and regain yourself.
148 laps complete. Best guess is about the 170th lap should see the leader, in fact, most of the field, into the pits for their final stop.
This Wide World of Sports update brought to you by ExxonMobil and Speed Pass. Today's way to pay.
153 out of 200 laps completed here at the Homestead Miami Speedway in the IRL opener for 2002. Right now, it is an incredible dominating performance by Sam Hornish Jr., the defending race and series champion. He right now is on his own lap. Everybody else is a lap down. Ayrton Dare, driving for A.J. Foyt in the substitute role for Donnie Beechler, is in second position. Several of the favorites are out. Buddy Lazier is out because of an oil pressure problem, and Jacques Lazier, well, it's been a very long day for that Team Menard driver. Early on in the race, he lost the shock cover on the car. Then a few laps later, the right rear goes down, or at least is trying to go down. He loses control and bangs against the wall. However, he was able to get back in competition. Then watch this. He bumps wheels with Billy Boat. And then another close encounter during the race as he was passed by faster traffic. So Jacques Lazier right now is being shown in 21st position. He is 17 laps down. Sam Hornish Jr. now with less than 50 laps to go. Can he hold on, Paul Page?
Well, that's the question of the day, and the one that many others would like to answer. By the way, both Lazier and Boat, as you mentioned for Lazier, Bob, are in competition. Boat's 11 laps behind the lead, Lazier 14. Stop should come at about the 170th lap. Scott Goodyear, there's a 20-mile-an-hour windsock over in turn 3, and it is straight out.
Not only straight out, but you can see it. It just gusts itself around, changing directions of about 25 degrees. And I got to tell you, as a previous driver, today is a day that you'd rather be sitting inside the stands, because you're getting moved around, as I mentioned before. You can turn into a turn, and the car can just leap itself over out of a lane. But one guy it doesn't seem to affect too much today, Sam Hornish Jr.
He's got a powerful lead, but he also had a lot of help keeping him up here. A lot of his competition did themselves in.
Well, he's had a very lucky day, but obviously you have to be good, which he is. The team has to be great, and you have to have some luck, and he's made all the right calls. But as we mentioned, there's been a few things go on today, and the people that we thought that would be competitive up there in a bunch of 6 or 8 just don't seem to be around right now through low tires with Jacques Lazier, going out in accidents and that sort of thing.
Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, Scott, you think some guys would like to watch this race from the stands? This fella didn't want to be in this position, Greg Ray. Hey, Greg, what have you got cooking for Phoenix?
Well, I'll tell you, we're working real hard to get a program going to Phoenix. I tested there once already this year. I feel really good about that, but you know, it's really difficult to watch here from the sideline. it's a great race out there. You know, Sam Hornish is showing he's the man right now.
Are you surprised that he has totally dominated the way he has?
I am surprised. I mean, the equipment is very equal, but he's got a very good focus, and he's very, very fast. It looks like he's going to have 2 laps on second place before the race is over, so he's doing a great job.
All of a sudden, a problem on the front stretch. Yellow flag comes out. Billy Rowe. Field gets by safely. There comes the leader. And the safety team arriving on the scene. Happened very quickly.
And it looks like it was well out of the turn in turn 4.
So we'll keep track of this one and also see what may happen with the pit stops when we come back. You back from the Chevrolet pace car. Sam Hornish, the leader, under caution once again. Billy Rowe is out of the car, walking around. He appears to be okay, but this is a perfect time for the stop.
Coming at you.
Sure enough, here comes Sam Hornish Jr. leading the field in. He has to come all the way down to the last position, but Jack Arute is there waiting.
A ball directly behind him is the 2-car effort of A.J. Foyt as he passes them. Ayrton Dare, second place man, will come in. They will make no change on Foyt's car. Let's see if Hornish calls for any changes on his Pennzoil machine. No, he does not. They complete their work. They are away quickly. 9.8 seconds.
And he clears the last real obstacle of the day as Dare comes out.
And he had a very close call, Paul. Dare did.
Let's go down to Gary Gerald.
Well, one surprise here, Paul. The Penske team, neither driver, DeFerrin or Castroneves, has come to pit road. I think they were taking the opportunity to try to make up a lap if they can. Whether or not they're going to come in, everybody's on this side, the inside of the wall, as they continue to circulate under yellow.
A close call for Dare, but Hornish comes out again as the leader. In Miami with the Indy Racing League, Roger Penske. What is he going to do? The leader, Hornish, has stopped. Most of the field has stopped. What does Penske do now? 164 laps are complete. We are commercial free to the finish. Still cleaning up Billy Rowe's accident. Rowe climbed out of the car, walked over, looked at the car. He's obviously all right. Hornish, DeFerrin, Castroneves. As a double agent, she knew her own life was at risk, but now her friend will pay the price. A new alias, ABC tomorrow, 9, 8 Central.
Well, Paul, it's very interesting to see the Penske cars stay out. Some great strategy by Roger Penske, the captain as he's known. His cars right now are in front of Sam Hornish Jr. When they go to pick up Sam as the leader, they'll let all those cars behind the pace car and in front of Sam go back around and come to the tail of the group. And those guys will then be on the lead lap. The problem he has is they do not have enough fuel to go to the end of the event.
So when does he stop them? Does he count for another yellow? Roger's pretty good at those decisions. Over 200 stations around the globe carrying coverage of the Indy Racing League this season, and it is going to be a terrific season. 3 new races have been added. California, Nazareth, Michigan. 3 night races once again. There is how and where they pitted on the last lap. 127th and 128th lap for Penske. It's now the 166th lap. There's the schedule for the year. Again, California, Nazareth, Michigan, they're new. Night races, 3 of them for you. And of course, all of the coverage is on ABC and ESPN. Gary?
Roger Penske, how big of a gamble have you just taken?
Well, we have to see. We're in good shape. We're back on the lead lap, and we'll just see what happens at the end, how long we can go on fuel.
Are you confident, or how much more time do you have before you have to pit? He's talking to his driver. He doesn't want to answer that one.
He may or may not have been talking to Jill. He just didn't want to answer.
I heard one of the crew guys says we're praying for a yellow within the next 15 laps, so that might be a tip-off.
You know what, fellas? Let's not forget. as we get ready to go back to green. Sometimes at this point in a race, especially an early race, Scott, fatigue starts to set in. And sometimes, just sometimes, you can commit an error that brings out a late race caution. I like the gamble on the part of the captain.
Well, absolutely. He's done a great job. They might have been able to come in right then and actually put some fuel on board. They're certainly at the very tail end of the group right now, but they're not going to make it to the end. We know that for sure.
Well, the gamble is at play right now, though I've seen Roger Penske sat in the chair you're sitting in now for the Caesars Palace Grand Prix Formula One with me some years ago. And the night before, I watched him playing Baccarat, and let me tell you, he's a hell of a gambler. Well, he does just a fine job.
Green flag.
Hornish, watch up the road for DeFerrin and Castroneves. They got plenty of traffic to work with. DeFerrin leads Castroneves into the corner. A lot of traffic in between them.
Now, one point we need to bring up here too, guys, is that Sam Hornish Jr. has brand new tires on from that pit stop.
Another good point. Yep. They're going to have to run to the end of this segment with tires that are constantly wearing. You saw the 34 car of Laurent Redon, one of the rookies in the field from Lyon, France, went way high coming off at 2. I think he saw everybody else coming and said, I'm getting out of the way. Scott Sharp brings it off the course. Currently 8th, a lap behind the lead.
Scott Sharp has reported that the car has lost power, fellas. Not a good sign with that bow tie car.
Not a great day. You saw the leader. Now you see the Penske cars. There's DeFerrin. DeFerrin got around a couple of guys. Castroneves still has to make up that distance. We can look again right here. There's Hornish coming through, looking for DeFerrin. Well, the yellow just came out. Oh, the yellow comes out for Sharp.
Is that what the captain ordered or what?
Oh, baby. Oh, baby.
It's a whole new game, guys. They come in, put fresh tires on, fill up for fuel to get to the end, maybe make some adjustments to it. And the captain's luck is there.
You know, Paul, going over the wall. Paul, that's a classic hit me on a 17.
Oh, yeah. Oh, nice call by Roger. But, of course, they still have to handle up Sam Hornish Jr., and he has not proven to be easy to handle up. He is driving a great car right now. He's been on top the whole day. That's Scott Sharp. They're trying to get him off the course. He's signaling to the crew so they can get the strap on him, get him going. That's the bar they actually attach the tow strap to.
It's interesting to see that some of these problems that have gone on today are all with that new Chevrolet engine. I'm starting to wonder if there might be something with the electronic box that's on those, because you heard a few of the people before, including Al Jr.'s team, say, we're going to change the black box. Get ready, we're going to change the black box. So maybe there's some teething problems in this new package they have.
Well, there's a good point. Chevrolet back in racing, but some of the engines are a Generation 1, others are a Generation 2. Sam Hornish last year. Wow, what a year that was. Led all the laps, led in points, sophomore year.
Impressive record when you look at it, the 3 wins, and you remember that last exciting race they had in Texas, just getting past Scott Sharp at the very last turn going down to the front stretch. But you also look at what's going on with the finishing record, always up there, never missed a beat.
Okay, back to the Chevrolet engines, though. 2 different kinds there, Scott.
Yes, there is, and Roger Penske is using what I'm going to call the Generation 1 engine, as I believe, which is a bit of a revamp from what was going on last year. Some of the teams, including Hornish, actually have the Generation 2, which is a brand new Chevrolet package. So clearly, some teams have it working, and some have some teething problems.
Preparations underway in the Penske pits. They watch for the end of the race. DeFerrin comes off, and so does Castroneves, but they wait till after the pit road to do so.
Both ways are legal, off of turn 3 or coming in off of turn 4.
3, 2, 1, easy, 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 easy. Okay.
You listen to Roger Penske calmly on the wall. He's been through this drill. There's a wheel nut rolling out in front of DeFerrin's car. Somebody's going to go. He runs over it. Oh, I don't know if that'll do any damage, but DeFerrin ran over the wheel nut on the way out.
Castroneves comes away as well. DeFerrin was in the pits for 9.7 seconds. If he hit the wheel nut and hit it hard, that could be a problem. Scott, watch here. There it goes.
As you see, right there, stop it. You'll see the wheel nuts falling on the ground. But I'll tell you what happens next. That team member is not going to miss a beat. The next tire is going to go on. He's going to reach down and grab a new nut off his belt, which you saw right there. Grabs it, puts it on. And these guys train for this. They practice for that. And that stop didn't take any longer than it would have if he had to use the original nut.
But Gary Gerald, are you saying that he hit that wheel nut on the way out?
Well, it appeared to me that he ran directly over it with the right side, either the front or the rear, but I couldn't tell if both hit it. It did not fly or spin up. It was under control. It wasn't a dramatic wheel spin on the exit. So it didn't hurl it. It wasn't a safety factor. I just don't know if it would have done any damage to the tire itself.
And Gary, if you don't think that John Barnes and the Pennzoil Panther team want to know and watch every move of Roger Penske, when those pit stops were done, they radioed to their driver, Sam Hornish, there are 16 cars between you and them. They didn't mention any particular drivers, just them.
Well, to Hornish, it doesn't much matter who them is, as long as he can keep them in second place. NHL regional coverage be coming up next, except on the West Coast. We're watching the Indy Racing League at Miami. Closing laps of the race, that yellow car, Sam Hornish, he's the leader. We're enjoying what is a terrific battle to the finish as well. The Penske cars, DeFerrin and Castroneves are well back. They're second and third place, and they have to cut through traffic in the next 25 laps to catch the leader and possibly pass him.
That's a tall task when you look to see where Sam Hornish is now, and just coming off of turn 4 is starting up the Penske cars with Gilles DeFerrin and Castroneves.
Gilles DeFerrin just working his way into the first turn. You saw a brief glimpse a moment ago in the Penske pit. The fellow in the helmet was Matt Johnson. He's the crew chief. And Peter Twitty, who many of them call the ambassador, because part of his job for Penske is go up and down the pits and negotiate with people to say, hey, our car's coming up behind. Can you tell your guy to give us a little room? Imagine he's doing a lot of running right now.
24 laps to go. Nice and smooth. You're P2. You're on the same lap.
Castroneves grabs a couple of positions.
Now the lap before that, Sam Hornish was in the clear, ran 190 miles per hour. Gilles DeFerrin was actually in traffic, ran 190 miles an hour. But the last lap itself lost about 7 miles per hour, just getting caught up with a couple of people in the turn. So he can't afford that very many times if he wants to get up front.
Sam, on the other hand, is in a perfect position. Out in front, just off of yellow. No back markers ahead of him. Last year, he led 142 laps on his way to victory. And just led 144 here today.
Starting the season off right, like you said, Paul, and I'm sure that he wants to lead every lap, as we mentioned. 760-odd laps last year, leading the races throughout the season. It'll be tough to beat this year.
Watching for the interval from Hornish
21
back to
laps to go. 21 to go.
7.5 seconds. Castroneves is 8.5 seconds back from Hornish.
You can see the speed difference there, 194 miles an hour down to 186.
Buell ran 194 hours in fourth place last lap around.
Good job. Good job.
Good job, but still, he's actually DeFerrin last lap lost a full second. He's now 8.5 seconds back. Hornish just turned the fastest lap of the race at 194 miles an hour.
That's what he's got to do, and I'll tell you right now, he's just hoping for a green flag all the way down to the end of the race. The Penske cars, though, I can guarantee are saying, can't somebody do something here to give us another yellow?
And Scott, I can tell you right now, there's a lot of admiration in the Penske camp for what that Panther team is doing. Some of them were just shaking their head and saying, he is really strong.
A straightaway on second place to Farron. That's the position that Hornish has now. You joined us for NHL regional coverage. It'll be coming up next, except on the West Coast. Enjoy the racing with us right now. Sam Hornish, the defending champion at this track in Miami, the defending champion of the series, is the leader. But the two cars out of Roger Penske's stable are trying to close in, but they are not. DeFerrin lost 2 more seconds. He's now 10.5 back.
Paul, he just keeps increasing his lead every lap. And unless we see a yellow, these guys in the Penske team are going to finish second and third. But maybe that's not bad, because we heard the captain say at the beginning of the race, I just want to make sure we finish and collect some points.
From time to time, as we watch Hornish, you get a glimpse, as you did there, of Robbie Buell, who has been smooth and clean all day. He's currently the 4th place car.
Although 1 lap down, he's done an extraordinary job today.
Jeff Ward, first time with a new team, now sitting in 5th. We're going to look at speeds at the line. 192.7 for Hornish. Long wait for the Penske cars to arrive. Whoa. And he lost another 2 seconds. Hornish is pulling away about 1.7 seconds a lap.
Just ride along with him. See how smooth his hands will be going through the turn. Not much off the throttle at all. Nice smooth line. And look at that view in front. Exactly what he wants to see. Not another car in sight.
Yeah, look at that flag, though. Again, that tells you as he heads into turn 3 how that car is being pushed. Now it's getting a tailwind.
And I heard him get off the gas going into 3, because that's where the wind comes across and just shoves you across the road itself. The difference between going into 1 and throttle lift and 3 is very evident.
So Hornish is the leader. Some other guys have done a particularly good job here today. There's George Mack, West Coast, Southern California go-karter in the 310 car. Isn't that a great day? By the way, Robbie McGee in the Scott Trade cars also had a good run. Mack is currently 14th. Robbie McGee is 15th. And here comes Hornish. Wow.
Inside, clear.
How frustrating is that as we go on board with Allinger Jr. to have a guy go past you so fast?
Oh, and you just listen to the throttle and Al Jr.'s car compared to Sam Hornish's car. Off the throttle, just fighting the car, fighting the steering wheel. Then you look in your mirror and you see another car come up behind you, closing in on you, and then he goes past you and there's nothing you can do because your car's not working. It's a bad day.
Hornish has just completed 188 laps. We're looking for the interval now between Hornish and DeFerrin. It was 12.5 last time around. Now it's 13 seconds.
All clear.
And remember Thomas Scheckter? We mentioned him at the start. He's had his problems. He got together with his teammates. He's worked his way back into the top 10 and currently is 9th, 2 laps behind the leader. He's still staying out and staying away from Eddie Cheever Jr., though, isn't he?
I think you'll see him get the checkered flag at the end of this race. Look for an open gate and head to the interstate.
Yeah, right through the parking lot, hop on 75 and be gone.
You know, Eddie's not left the track yet. He's hanging around the motorhome.
And as Eddie said, it wouldn't have mattered who he ran into. But he ran into his boss and teammate. Hornish with 10 laps to go this time by. And 14.6 seconds as Hornish continues to pull away. Now, unfortunately,
Got a guy trailing smoke here, Sam, going into turn 1. Make sure you get your nice wide line getting in.
you want to make sure you don't get into the oil there.
There is no yellow. There is no yellow.
So Sam gets by cleanly. There is the problem.
Now, so late in the race and so close to the end, John DeVries, he just, with a brake and engineering entry.
Good road racing background. On the Holden Series in Australia.
Left of the power tree. Mark, right there, right there, right there.
And because we're running a little long here, and the NHL regional coverage was supposed to start, we're not going to be able to talk with Sam Hornish at the end of this race, assuming, as I probably should not, that he is the eventual winner, but he does have just over 7 laps to go. And Robbie Buell with an engine yellow flag comes out. So out of 4th place, Robbie Buell pulls it off the course, but up between 3 and 4, it looks like he had an engine let go.
Oh, that's one of the Infinity engines, one of the upgraded ones they've been working on so hard throughout the winter. Has so much promise. And that's gone in a big way.
Now, what's that going to do for Sam Hornish Jr.? It's probably going to hurt badly, because he had pulled out 20.5 seconds over 2nd place Jill DeFerrin. Now, he's still going to have some cars.
We have about 9 cars between you and 2nd place on the restart.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks, Rocket. That's Chief Mechanic Kevin Blanch talking to Sam Hornish Jr. 9 cars going to separate him.
Yeah. Might have been Pancho Carter, the spotter, giving him that information.
Okay, that's be Pancho.
But there again, maybe a little bit too late for those guys to catch up. Sam's going to have clear track again. Has the faster car, just has to keep it smooth between the walls, as we usually call it, and they have the first win of the 2002 season.
And the spotter's up on top of the grandstand here. That's where some of the other negotiation goes on, and no doubt will go on once again.
And Paul, you see Pancho Carter up there?
There he is, yellow shirt, yep.
Pancho's not very well liked by a lot of the spotters up there, because if he gets and sees a car that is about to be lapped by Sam Hornish and the car doesn't get sufficiently out of the way, Pancho Carter has threatened to throw guys off that roof before.
An old great sprint car champion. A couple of great victories in open wheel. Terrible accident in Phoenix in December of '77. Look at that windsock, straight out still. They should be coming back to green flag at the end of this lap in a sprint to the finish. Oh, look at all the cars that DeFerrin would have to overhaul.
It would have to be an amazing day for him to get up there with only a lap to go to have a shot at Sam. But, you know, getting up behind them is one thing. Passing is a completely different one.
You make a
There will be 9 cars between you and 2nd place. The only one really got to worry about is 2nd in line is Ward. He can make a run occasionally, but if you get a good start, you'll be gone. Green's out, green's out.
As they come onto the front stretch, it's going to be a 4-lap sprint to the finish.
As you mentioned, Paul, look at all that traffic in between Sam and Jill DeFerrin. That's a hard task in front of you. Plus, you don't want to make a mistake and take yourself out and throw away 2nd place.
Oh, one car goes wide. Up against the wall, Dare. Oh, Dare, who was sitting in 6th. I don't see a lot of parts come there. Obviously, damage on the right side. Any chance at all you think that they're going to clean and back for 1 lap?
Well, it'll be interesting to see that, but I think that what we're going to see here is that he maybe just got a little bit high, got into the marbles, and drew the car up into the wall. And it's a very funny feeling when you do that. You get up, you get off the darkness, as we call it, and up into the marbles, up where you see that tow truck running right now, and it draws you right in.
There's Dare, gets way, way out of the line.
Absolutely. Now, if we run that once again, I'll show you exactly what was happening. He was coming up behind a group of cars, 2 or 3 of them. He's got a lot of dirty air coming onto his car. He's not going to have much downforce. He's not going to have much grip. And then it draws him out on the outside of the line and draws him up into that marble, as we call it, up into that gray area.
Here it is again, same angle.
Now watch as we move through here. You'll see that he's on the outside, getting a run. He's a little bit high already. Stop it right there. And he is already well out of the line where all the other cars are here. And this is where the marbles, the extra rubber that's off the tires from all the cars running throughout the day, is starting to form. Once you get on top of that, you lose your grip. You try to turn your steering wheel. Nothing happens for you. And then all of a sudden, up to the wall you go.
Fortunately, he took the wall with the right side of the car. So if you're going to do that, that's the way to do it. He's probably okay.
And Scotty radioed in to A.J. Foyt and said, sorry. And AJ drawled back, heck, that's okay.
You're getting to do a pretty good AJ, Jack. So behind the pace car, Sam Hornish circulates now. Yellow flag is out. White flag should come out as well. The white flag.
White flag, Sam. Good job.
So no question about it, unless, of course, it runs out of fuel or a wheel falls off between now and the next mile and a half. So Sam Hornish, the defending Indy Racing League champion and the defending champion here at Miami, has managed to do it once again, and he set the tone for the season. An incredibly dominant performance.
Incredible, and I'm sure everybody up and down pit lane right now is saying, boy, this is deja vu of last year. If he starts on a roll again, he's going to be tough to beat.
Panther Pennzoil Racing scores the victory with Sam Hornish Jr. at the wheel, and the lion's share of the points already at the start of the season. Now, so slowly behind that Chevrolet pace car, down the backstretch, into turn 3. Nothing a factor now. Though I got to admit, I think if I was in a cockpit, I'm thinking, oh, don't anything happen here.
Well, you know, we just saw a second ago Sam lift his visor, put his gloves up on there. I bet you he's got tears in his eyes right now because he has just beaten the best of the best, and that was Penske.
Now, during the hockey, we'll be back with an interview with Sam Hornish for you. He heads for the line and takes the checkered flag. Sam Hornish wins in Miami. There's the unofficial order of finish. Let's send you to our host, Bob Jenkins.
Just like he started the season last year, Sam Hornish Jr. goes to victory lane, his 4th career win. There were 4 lead changes. Sam led 142 laps last year. He led 166 this year. There were 7 lead changes and 9 caution periods. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com, keyword ABC Sports. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, continuing the tradition of excellence.